protects you and your family presents the Singapore Parenting Festival. Join a series of 6 free webinars at Singapore's largest virtual festival for advice on your pregnancy and parenting journey, like having a safe pregnancy and delivery, getting ready for motherhood, nourishing your baby, building a special bond, ensuring your child's well-being, and giving them a head start in life. Register now. That's not all. Get awesome discounts and deals in the grand sale. Singapore Parenting Festival, proudly brought to you by MediaCorp and the Asian Parent. Scott's multivitamin gummies support your kids' growth. Dumex Do Grow, comprehensive nutrients. Try Milo with more milk and 50% less sugar. Nature One Dairy, your partner in parenthood. The following partners. And Shopee, #1 online shopping platform in Singapore.
Hi, hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining us once again. Today is TGIF, Friday evening, and still we can see there are still so many of you are joining. So thanks once again, and then thanks for being a part of Singapore Parenting Festival, which is brought to you by Asian Parent and MediaCorp. So we are going to bring to you exciting contests, and then there is a lot of information that will be discussed in this particular webinar, and do not miss out the grand sale as well. So as we deep dive today into today's topic, which is going to be the health and fitness of growing up children, we have got 2 experts today with us, and then I'm sure all parents are looking forward to the session. But before that, some ground rules. You are automatically muted, because obviously if we unmute, then there's going to be a lot of noise. Kids, parents, everyone is working from home-based learning and all. So that's the reason we are like you all are automatically muted. But that doesn't mean that you should remain silent. Just go ahead, use the Q&A box and shoot all the questions, whatever comes in your mind. We would be more than happy to answer your questions, as many as your questions we would like to answer at the end of the session. Also, do note that kindly use only the question and answer box to post your questions, because if you put it in a chat window, it just might get lost, you know. And do note that this particular session is recorded. Stay tuned, because we have got surprises for you. Pampers as well as Shopee, they have got some exciting surprises for you. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, so yes, Pampers as well. Let's just go ahead and start straight away today's webinar. My name is Shubda. You can call me Shub. I will be with you for this particular webinar. And I run this humble website called as rainbowdiaries.com, obviously inspired by the Asian Parent. And I just share my own parenting journey as well as lifestyle campaigns and experiences on my side. I also run this platform called as Social Media Mom Asia, wherein we try to bring together moms, mompreneurs, and local businesses so that we all can support each other, care, and grow. And now it's time to welcome our 2 speakers for today. So our first speaker is Jennifer Shim. Hello, Jennifer, and thanks a lot for joining us today and taking time out of your busy schedule. So Jennifer is a dietitian at Glen Eagles Hospital. She graduated with a bachelor's degree of nutrition and dietetics from University of Newcastle in Australia. And she is currently working as dietitian at IHH Hospital. And she is also a member of Dietitians Association of Australia. She comes with a rich experience of 8 years and working in clinical dietitian. She also pursues special interest in surgical nutrition, pediatrics, and gastroenterology. So welcome, Jennifer. I'm sure our parents are like all excited to hear from you. And who is our next speaker, by the way? Yes, so give a warm welcome to Cheryl. Cheryl Lang, she is Head of Engagement and Outreach at Moms for Life. Cheryl's 20-year commitment to family life education, personal work-life effectiveness, and media literacy stem from her belief in the value of the family. She has worked in tertiary education, non-profit family organizations, and as a chair of a consultative panel in the Ministry of Communications and Information that brings some deep insights to her heartfelt discourse on family and the internet in live seminars and the media. We all are looking forward to hear what Jennifer and Cheryl are going to share with us today. So, Jennifer, I guess you should straight away begin, because we are curious to know how we can build actually our children's immunity. Over to you, Jennifer.
Sure. Thank you, Shivada. So hello, everyone. Thanks for joining our webinar today. So I'm going to just start with this, how to build our child's immunity. So we're going to start with, first of all, we want to understand, we'll have a bit of understanding what is immunity. And then after that, we're going to talk about what's the relation between diet and immunity, and then understand how to achieve this healthy, balanced diet. Of course, lastly, we're going to talk a little bit about other nutrients and non-diet tips. Okay, so let's start with understanding immunity. Okay, so our immune system is a very complex system that works to protect us from harmful microbes. So there are quite a few things in our immune system. So we're going to start with our first line defense, which also called innate immunity. This will protect us from microbes that is trying to enter our body. So from our skin, from our mucus, our sweats and tears, they will try to prevent this microbe from entering our body. So even when microbes enter our body, our stomach acid will try to break them down, or our immune system cells will try to attack them as well. So the second immunity would be our adaptive and acquired immunity, in which our body will try to recognize all these harmful microbes and create these antibodies so that we can recognize all these harmful microbes and attack these harmful microbes. Of course, there are quite a few things about immunity, but another one that I want to bring up that is related, probably some of our kids would have this issue, is allergies. So this is because our body labeled certain antigens as foreign body, and that would lead to sensitivity or allergies. Okay, so what affects our immune system? There are quite a few things that will affect our immune system. First of all, age. So because today we talk about children, so as younger kids, their immune systems is still developing. So which means that they are at a higher risk of getting infected as compared to an adult. Other things that would affect our immune system would be environment, stress, lack of sleep, or certain medical conditions or treatments. So for diet-wise, what we can do is, first of all, we want to make sure that we have a good diet, because poor diet, such as malnutrition and also nutrient deficiency, would affect our immune system. And excessive weight will also affect our immune system. We'll talk about it more in the next slide. Okay, so let's understand about diet and immunity. What's the relationship between diet and immunity? Okay, so adequate nutrition is definitely very important for a healthy immune system. This is because, like I mentioned earlier, our immune system is affected by malnutrition or nutrient deficiency. Lack of any proteins, vitamins, or minerals can change our immune competence. And if we eat too much, excessive intake can be harmful for our immune system as well, because obesity is associated with fat tissue inflammation and increase the risk of infection. Inflammatory markers secreted by our tummy fat suppress the replication of cells, which in turn, our immune cells become less responsive.
Right. So at this point in time, Jennifer, just wanted to ask you a quick question, because as a parent, we all want our children to be chubby and but obesity is obviously something that no one will prefer. So how do you exactly monitor the kids' weight, or what are the any signals that we have to watch out for or something?
Okay, so when we monitor our kids' weight, we definitely refer to the growth chart. At the same time, even if our kid is a bit overweight or obese, we wouldn't want them to lose too much weight as well. We still want them to grow. So in other words, we want to encourage them to still have a balanced diet, and probably slowing down their weight gain so that they wouldn't get too obese.
Right. Sure. So yes, what we have in the next slide, I saw something. All right, so there is a poll time. Before we hand over to Jennifer, once again, we have got poll, and then there are some surprises coming up. So stay tuned, guys. So this is your poll question. So which vitamin-rich food do you think is most essential for your kids' strong immune system? Is it vitamin A, vitamin C, D, E, or all the above? Yeah, so what do you think, guys? Just go ahead and vote so that we actually know what is the right answer. And then Jennifer will explain us more about it. But before that, just go ahead, vote for it. And we will have the results soon. So let's just wait for a while. People are, I guess, choosing the option. Okay, so is it vitamin D or all the above? I don't know. I myself like a bit confused. Let's see what everyone is voting for. Oh, okay, so vitamin C. Oh yeah, we are talking about immunity. So vitamin C, 12% of the people are saying vitamin C. Vitamin A, 3%, vitamin D, 3%, vitamin E is 1%, and all the above, overwhelming number of votes, 82%. So what do you think, Jennifer? What is what's the answer, by the way?
Well, I think majority of the participants here are quite good because the answer is actually all the above.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So not just vitamin C, right? Because
yes, not just vitamin C. So all the vitamins here are quite important for our immune system.
Right,
yeah.
Right. So all the above. So we should strike a balance, right? Isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so all the above, guys, do note. And then just a reminder, if you want to take screenshots of any of these slides, just go ahead, because there are some nice tables and all our experts are sharing. So please go ahead and do that. And where are your question and answer guide? Just go ahead and send us some questions. And by the way, yes, we were waiting for this, right? Surprise from Pampers. So Pampers is giving away premium care tape diapers, free samples, and there are 200 webinar participants. The first 200 webinar participants can actually go ahead and claim this 20-piece sample for their babies. And there are terms and conditions apply. Just take note that the sample is free, but the delivery charges do apply. There is a link, there is a QR code. You can just flash your mobile camera and scan the QR code. Look at your chat window. There is that link that we will be posting. So you can just click on the link, and all the information about this awesome surprise is all there on that link. Yeah, so I'm going to give you some time. Go ahead, scan 20 pieces sample, guys, and then it's complimentary. And Pampers premium care tape diapers for your babies. Just go ahead. Yeah, people are liking this surprise, definitely, as I can see the chat window. Okay. Yes. So did you scan the QR code? Yes, time to go ahead with our next slide. Over to you, Jennifer. This table itself is looking very, very interesting. Over to you. Tell us more about what is this.
Okay, thank you, Shivada. So like the poll just now, we're asking what are the important nutrients is to help to boost our immune system. So like I mentioned earlier, because our immune system is so complex, so there's no one particular food or no one particular supplement can actually help to prevent illness. So based on evidence, we need quite a number of nutrients to help to boost our immune system. So from this table from this chart over here, you can see we need proteins, vitamin A, C, E, D, and also some minerals like zinc. And on top of this, there's more nutrients we need, for example, like vitamin B6, B12, copper, folate, selenium, iron. Is just too many. So there's a good question that people will ask, is there one food that covers all these nutrients? So the answer is no.
Oh, okay.
So how do we actually get them? All right, let's look at the next slide.
Right.
Okay, so in order to get all this, the idea is to have a balanced diet. That a balanced diet can help us to get all these nutrients that we need. So for parents, when planning your child's diet, we need to make sure that we give adequate amount of grains, include a variety of fruits and vegetables, especially the colorful ones, and try to prepare food with less fat, especially a daily intake, and try to choose beverage or food that is less sugar.
Okay, so fruits and all other things, sure.
Yeah. Okay.
All right,
All right.
so one question, Jennifer, before we go ahead, because we are talking about the different types of foods and so on. So when it comes to fruits, I mean, is there anything that you will suggest? I think you're going to discuss that in the next slides, right?
Yeah, so
Okay. Okay.
actually in terms of fruits and vegetables, there's just so many to choose from, which later I'll elaborate a bit
Sure.
more
Sure.
about that. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so when we talk about how to achieve this balanced diet is to try to include every single food group. So the first food group that I would like to talk about is brown rice and wholemeal bread. And why is this group important is because it is the main source of carbohydrates. What is carbohydrates used for? Basically, we need to supply our immune system with energy, enough energy, so that it can work better and fight diseases. So for kids aged 3 to 6, we want to include roughly about 3 to 4 serves a day. So one serve can be 2 slices of bread or 4 crackers or half a bowl of rice or 1.5 cup of cereals. So for this group over here, we want to choose the brown rice option or the wholemeal or whole grain option. Why is that so? It's because they actually provide more vitamins and minerals as compared to the refined grains. So things like cereals, there's quite a number of cereals out there that is fortified with all these important vitamins for our immune system. So you can actually look into these fortified cereals. And on top of that, this wholemeal or whole grain product is higher in vitamin B and zinc, which would help our immune system to work properly, and also they can help with wound healing. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so just now we talked about some fruits.
Right.
So fruits and vegetables, basically they are also very high in fiber, vitamins, minerals, as well as phytochemicals. So how much does our kid need? So for kids roughly about age 3 to 6, 1 serve of fruits and 1 serve of vegetables per day. So you may be confused, how do we estimate this 1 serve? So 1 serve of fruits would be roughly about the size of a fist. For example, like 1 apple or 1 orange, that would be 1 serve. Or let's say something bigger like papaya or watermelon, 1 wedge, like how they usually sell it in the fruit store, those are 1 serve. Or 1 handful of grapes or strawberries. So these are 1 serve. For vegetables, about 3/4 cup would be 1 serve, or 1/4 plate would be 1 serve.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So fruit and vegetables, it's a bit difficult because generally kids are quite picky, when it comes to fruit. If I give the watermelon to them directly, they say that, oh, I don't want to eat, it doesn't taste good, no taste. So, I mean, what can we do? Is there anything interesting that we can do so that, they consume more fruits?
Okay, so first tip is to try to mix them with something that they may like. For example, you can mix some fruits in the yogurt and make it like something cold for them. Or some kids, if they like popsicles, instead of giving them an actual popsicles, you can put some of these fruits in the cut them and put it in the freezer. So the kids can actually have these frozen fruits and they would enjoy it as part of their dessert as well.
Right, right, right. Sure. Thank you. So
Yeah.
we'll try. We all will try. Please note. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so basically when we choose fruits and vegetables, there's no, like I said, there's no one particular fruits that is better than another, because like I said, there's just so many vitamins that we need for our immune system. We want to give them brightly colored fruits and vegetables. So for example, we look at vitamin A, which is mainly from carrots, bell peppers, apricots, or green leafy vegetables. What does it do is that it helps to regulate our immune system and also protect against infection by keeping our skin, our tissue in the mouth, our stomach, intestine, respiratory system healthy. So we want to include them. But vitamin C, which stimulate the formation of antibody. Vitamin B6, which is from green leafy vegetables, helps in enzyme reaction in our body. And vitamin E, which is a very powerful antioxidant that protects the cells against oxidative damages. So like you can see here, there's orange color, there's red color, there's green color. All these different colored vegetable will give us different types of vitamins that we need. So give them the more variety, the better.
Right, right.
Okay. All right, so the next food group that we're going to talk about is meat and others. So what this food group is the main source of proteins, and protein is used to make enzymes and antibody to help our immune cells to kill germs, viruses, and bacteria. It also helps to keep our gastrointestinal tract and immune system healthy. And if we don't get enough protein, our skin and our mucous membrane will be brittle and break down easily, which increases our risk of infection as well.
Right.
So in this group over here, of course, we want to also give a different type of proteins in their diet. One particular one, for example, like nuts are high in vitamin E and B6, which is also very important for our immune system. We can actually give our kids some nuts as their snacks in between their meals. And for kids 3 to 6, we want to encourage 1 serve of protein per day and 1 serve of dairy product per day.
Right. But just a quick question there, because we do have some kids who, like, they're lactose intolerant, or probably they cannot take dairy, or their parents are vegans or vegetarians. So what should they do so that, they don't lose out the nutrition, and at the same time, they don't have to consume dairy products or meat or fish or something? So what are the alternatives that they can try?
Okay, so for example, just now so first I'm going to talk about dairy products. So if a person can't really tolerate dairy product, they can actually go for fortified beverages. For example, there's fortified soy milk that has all these vitamins and minerals that is available for them as well, which is similar to milk. And for proteins wise, instead of, if let's say for a vegan or vegetarian, you can always choose proteins that is suitable for you. For example, like beans, pulses, and tofu, which is on this slide as well.
Right. Okay. Thanks. So vegetarians and vegans in the audience today, do note. Yeah.
Okay. So all right. So the next one that I'm going to talk about is the use of healthier fat. So we want to choose and prepare food that is lesser in fat, and especially the bad fat, saturated fat. We want to try to limit them. Why? Because the bad fat, for example, trans and saturated fats, they are pro-inflammatory, which can cause an imbalance in our immune system. And too much fat intake can lead to weight gain, which increases the risk of, like I mentioned earlier, overweight and obese, and increases the risk of infection and fat tissue inflammation. Okay, other food that is high in healthier fat, for example, omega-3 fats, can foster healthy immune system. So let's look at the next slide and see what type of fats we want to include in our diet. So we want to choose the left side, the unsaturated fat, which is mainly from our plant sources, for example, like canola, olive oil, sunflower oil, and the omega-3 from oily fish, such as sardine, tuna, or salmon. The saturated fat on the right are those that we want to try to limit or avoid. So these are mainly from our animal fats. For example, the fats on the meat, we try to remove them. The chicken skin, we try to remove them. Other things like butter or ghee are high in saturated fat as well. And their plant sources, such as palm oil or coconut oil, are also high in saturated fat, which are some of the things that you need to limit in your child's diet.
Sure.
Okay, so our last point over here is about other nutrients and non-diet tips. Okay, so I'm pretty sure a lot of parents here would like to know about probiotics. So there are very small studies suggested that a regular consumption of these fermented dairy products, such as yogurt or kefir, may enhance the immune defense in our gut. Even though the evidence is inconclusive, but this type of food contain key nutrients such as proteins and calcium, which is also important to include in your child's diet. So how about probiotic supplements? Currently, because there are just too many strains of probiotics, the research is not enough to actually prove the benefit of it. And some strains may suppress the immune system. So if you're keen to start your kid on any probiotic supplements, remember to check with a pharmacist or a pediatrician which would be suitable for your kid.
Sure. So, yeah.
Okay, so lastly, I'm going to bring up is basically a non-diet tip, other things that to consider to keep your child healthy and fit. First of all, make sure that they get good and restful sleep. This will allow your child body to rest, regenerate, and heal, keeping their immune system functioning as best as they can. And also, exercise is definitely very important for them because it helps to keep their body resilient and more likely to fight against infection. Lastly, is to reduce their stress and anxiety, and of course, proper hygiene.
And in this current time when we are living in the pandemic, so anything that in specific we have to try, so that we don't miss out anything, and then the proper hygiene and the good habits, kids don't forget to maintain. So
Yeah,
what
so I think the easiest one is to have a regular hand hygiene, like using soap or alcohol hand rub to clean their hands regularly.
Okay. Okay, sure. All right, what do we have next? All right, so yes, Shopee time once again. So yes, our favorite Shopee vouchers are up for grabs once again. First 200 webinar participants, they are going to get $3 off. No minimum spend needed. Just go ahead and shop till you drop. Today is Friday, weekend is there. So go ahead and shop for toys, kids and baby category of products. Do note that there are terms and conditions apply, and then these vouchers expire 23rd May. So once again, flash your mobile cams, go ahead, scan the QR code. The link will be there in your chat window as well. So just click on the link and go ahead and start shopping. We're going to wait for you for a while so that you can scan. Go ahead and get some nice goodies from Shopee. Take a look. Your QR code is working, everyone. Please check. Okay, all right. And that brings us to our next topic. So we would like to welcome Cheryl now. And then that title itself is making us so curious. 936 Parenting, Engaging Your Child. So what is 936 Parenting is all about, Cheryl? It's a new concept. And I think for many of us, it's like something new. So we can't wait to hear from you. What is 936 Parenting is all about? Over to you, Cheryl.
Yes. So actually it's something that, has been inspiring me. So
Right.
to share the story. Yeah. So we've all heard that actually time flies, but we just don't know how fast. We don't realize that it really goes fast until we suddenly look at our teenager and then think that, oh, it was only yesterday that I took her hand and took her to the playground. Well, this is something that I think many parents can identify with. So I read the story of this man who put 936 marbles in a jar the very day that each of his children was born, and he will remove one marble every week. This was a powerful visual reminder for him of the number of weeks he had left till his child turned 18 and would leave for university or for the army. And this is how 936 parenting is conceptualized.
Wow.
That we have really a limited period of time to deposit into our children's lives. Yet, what we put in that right there forms the very foundation of their lives and the successful navigation of their next 70 years. If we think, in Singapore, we live till about 85, 86 or so. Yeah, we are the longest living nation in the world. Yeah, we beat Japan. Yeah, so looking at this next slide here. Yeah, thanks. Just want to say that, go back to the last slide, please. Yeah, thank you. So young children's emotional experiences play a vital role in laying strong foundations for fulfilling lives. So this is really the conclusion that I came up to, with from the research that I've been doing. And some of the research is even with some qualitative meta-analysis, which means that some papers actually go and look at different researchers. So I actually gained a lot of insights from these. And there's even one piece of research that looked at twins. So how they actually grew emotionally in their preschool years, depending on the mother's interaction with them, whether it was negative or positive. So for the child who is more positive, they seem to be doing better, learning better, better focus. And so this is actually the trick here, that many of us parents will focus on the intellectual, the milestones and academic excellence of our children's growth journey, right? So we actually check, are they able to wave? Are they able to smile and things like that? Yeah. However, research finds that early emotional competencies, that means how good our children are with managing their emotions, they are actually linked with greater well-being and positive outcomes in life. Yeah, so it's not just the intellectual bit that helps us. So it's not the IQ alone, but the EQ. And that's really, really important. And actually the EQ also develops the intellectual aspect as well. So it's not just the IQ. So in fact, it is the unbalanced emphasis on intellectual development, neglecting emotional empowerment that actually causes some children to become anxious and even depressive. So this is actually something I think parents should note as well, because we want the best for our children, but sometimes, our children may not, benefit from what we do for them. Yeah, the next slide, please. Yeah, so actually here, I do want to say that the emotional development is really how our children experience and express, and then also as they grow a little bit older, they understand and they learn to regulate their emotions. And all this start from birth. And of course, they change through their journey from total dependency on us to independence. Yeah, so of course we hope it's never total independence. We hope to be able to relate with them in life and be a part of their lives. Yeah, so this is where I'll be sharing with you some interesting points that I really find important in a preschooler's growth. So the social-emotional development in preschoolers. And I actually gathered these points from Search Institute. If you're interested to go check out, Search Institute actually has research of over half a century. They began in about 1958, so that's quite a while back. And with this research, they bring us 40 developmental assets. What are these? These are actually supports and strengths that they believe young people need to be able to succeed. So all of us want our children to succeed, but it may not be about the highest academic grades or the best university we think that they should go to, but how they handle life, how they live life, how they interact with others, and maybe for some of us, it's just how they can be happy, right? So very tellingly, half of these 40 assets, they really focus on the internal aspect, on the social, emotional strengths, values, and commitments that the children can have even as they grow. So today we'll focus on 5 of them, which are more relevant to the preschoolers.
Right. By the way, Cheryl, just to check with you, like, all these experiences that you've gathered are like your personal experiences also, definitely, right?
Yes, yes. So I'll share some of that and also hope to share some steps that parents can take to help their children with their social emotional development.
Absolutely, sure.
So I'll go right into talking about the positive identity. Sorry, same slide, please, because we're going to spend some time on all 5 points.
Yes.
Yeah, so positive identity, what is that all about? It's about the self-awareness that the children have, and then later on, the ability to regulate themselves. So it's seen in the assets from Search Institute that young people need to believe in their own self-worth. Sometimes we call it self-esteem. And then they have to feel that they have control over the things that happen to them, and not like, I know some of you watch Hong Kong movie, yeah? So they always say, the problem is with society, it's not my problem, okay? So we want our kids to feel that they can take control of their lives. I mean, to a certain extent, of course, it's not about the circumstances, but what they can do in reaction to the circumstances. And this is really important. In fact, when we do this, we're actually reinforcing natural processes. You find that, I think the parents of young children here, so by 6 weeks, we actually see that the babies can actually do social smiling. So they smile when people come towards them, yeah? So this is a little bit different from what we're very excited about, what they call the neonatal smiling. So when they're first born, they just they smile, we like, hey, my baby is smiling. But actually only about 6 weeks older, then their smile is really social. That means they do it intentionally. And by about 4 to 5 months, they actually have selective smiling at the caregivers, that means the familiar faces, and interestingly at other infants. So I have been observing this in my grandson. So he's
Wait for a moment and let me interrupt you, Cheryl. You said your grandson?
Yes.
So, oh, come on, your grandma, if you didn't tell us, we will not believe. So I think we should plan one more webinar with you for anti-aging or something,
Yeah, actually that's my forte. I'm actually a gerontologist, which means I study aging. Yeah.
Okay.
Although I can't run away from family and the family development because, yeah, I do take care of my grandson for some
Right.
days. And I'll share a little bit more in the next point here about
Sure,
support.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so with this, yeah, going back to this whole idea of the child being able to interact, and I would say, yeah, it's really interesting because like when I take care of him for 2 days a week, and I bought this lovely swing with music for him so that he could entertain himself sometimes, so that I won't have to always entertain him. But I put him on it for a while, and he would smile, and then when I move away, he kind of actually stopped smiling, and then I'll tell him, I said, hey, Martin, wait, because I'm going to wash your milk bottle. So I'm alone at home with him when I look after him. So he's grown up now. Yeah. So, and then he would like stretch out his neck towards the kitchen because I peep in to just check it is all right. And I see him stretching out to look for me. And then the moment I walk off the kitchen towards him, he will start smiling again. So it's about this relationship that the caregiver builds with the baby, with the infant. It has to be warm and supportive. And in fact, I want to just relate this to some of you, maybe you study psychology, you might have heard of Erickson. I think his first papers also published incidentally 1958. Yeah, so yeah, about 50 odd years ago. Yeah, and so he actually talks about the stages of human development. The early stage from birth to 18 months, he calls it the trust and mistrust, trust versus mistrust stage. Now, this is actually, really about they build their trust as those people around them, their caregivers, really support them and are available for them. So actually, I put it to you at this point that in the methods of putting a baby to bed, or to toilet train them, or to make sure that they eat properly, do read carefully about the methods, yeah, and so that you are convinced of what it is doing versus other research. Yeah, because I'm not a big fan of letting the baby cry for a long time in the bedroom. Yeah, so in fact, my in-law, which is the paternal grandma of our grandson, so my daughter was trying this out, and she actually called me and said, I had to go and see the doctor because I'm mentally distressed, because when they left him there and they came to stay one night, they said just let him cry, and he was like 3 months old. They said don't interfere because we want him to be independent. So she said he was like crying for 45 minutes, and she was just drowned in his cries. Yeah, so I just put it to you that do your proper research when you do your methods, because it's a very important stage to build trust in the adults around them. And of course, I want to talk about other things about how we can help our child become the unique individual, or recognize that they're unique as they are. And one of them is about giving them choices. So, although we say, it's too much trouble to ask them what they want, but it is really the beginning of the journey for them to recognize that they are unique and individual. And so it could be something as simple as, do you want bread or biscuits for breakfast? Or do you want to wear your pink sandals or your green the shoes? So these are actually choices that children learn to make. Yeah, and of course, as they grow a little bit older, towards a little bit closer to 18 months, I think from about 12 months onwards, you can help them to identify and name their feelings. Yeah, so this is basically so that they recognize what these are, and they are not just this, feelings within them that they cannot name, and then they are like upset or angry. So when you talk to them, so do talk to them and say, oh, you look very upset now. Is it because I'm late with your milk or something like this? And this actually also builds their vocabulary. So basically, when we help them to name, identify the feelings, they are able to contain this and understand what it is. And then as they grow older, they learn to deal with it. Yeah, so actually it is part of, so we have to help them to develop strategies for them to have, to effectively manage their own emotions. And I think, this is one of the hardest things that parents find, right? When the child is like suddenly going cranky and they are not able to, hear you or react appropriately. And then we ourselves kind of get lost in that as well. So it is good to, during times when they're calm, to really teach them strategies, to handle this. And like my grandson, when he's angry, he sometimes he gets angry with us because we say, no, you can't have this. And he'll say, I'm so angry, roar. Then he roar like a lion at us. And we say, no. I say, when you are so fierce, it may actually frighten us. So we said, why don't you learn to sing this song? And play, so we teach them, we say, so if you're happy and you know it, you clap your hands, right? But we say, if you're angry and you know it, take a deep breath. Yeah, so if you sing this enough with him, it kind of like gives him a strategy to hang on to. Yeah, so there's something about the positive identity that I want to talk about. And next, I want to talk about support. Here you see, I say that it talks about relationships with other people. So you'll find that the people always say, no man is an island. So young people really need to be surrounded by people who love them, who care for them, who appreciate them and accept them for who they are as well. So this is where family support is really, really important. In fact, family life provides high levels of love and support for them. And so this is, where we talk about like whether it's the parents or the grandparents, just being there for them and really take time to spend with the children. And because really nobody loves you like your family. Yeah, and so, but besides the family, and I would say besides the parents, that means dad and mom, actually every child, according to the research from Search Institute, they actually need other adult relationships as well. And this is where we talk about each child having, besides the own parents, 3 or more other the adults who can actually deposit into their lives. And so for my grandson, is the 6 of us, besides his parents, 2 of them, so the parents, and then there are 4 non-parent adults, because when he was about to be born, his mom actually asked us, so are you going to help me take care of him? Well, on both sides, he's our first grandson. Oh, of course, we said yes, but we said not the whole time, because we are modern grandparents and we're not going to spend the whole time just taking care of the baby, because these paternal grandparents, they love singing, they have a choir group they go to. My husband and I dance, so we need to go for our dance sessions and our performances. So we have things to do. We are modern grandparents.
So Cheryl, like, I mean, you're making it very simple, and the comments that you are getting in the chat box also say the same thing. I mean, it's whatever we have learned, and like, it's like the age-old values, but plus you're trying to marry them with a new technology, and then like, it's extremely easy to understand, and I think it is not at all going to be that difficult to implement as well. So by the way, I'm also listening. My kids are older kids, but I guess there are certain points we can actually just use them in day-to-day interaction with any age, right? I mean, whatever is their age, I think we can still practice that. And yeah, so Cheryl, just also wanted to ask you that because when generally the children, we definitely allow them to make choices and all these things, right? But sometimes we know that whatever choice that they're making is actually, I mean, it's a wrong choice. And like, so in that particular case, like what parents should do, because we know that whatever they are eating or whatever they're deciding is like not really good. But I mean, how to strike the balance that time?
Oh, surely, yeah, we have to talk about that, yeah, because if they choose to have ice cream before dinner, it's not a very good idea. We are talking about preschoolers here.
Right.
Teenagers is a totally different story. So I'm not going there tonight, right? Because here are parents of younger children.
Right.
Yeah, so I will come to that actually quite quickly when we talk about the positive values, because those are really important, and they are really a bedrock in helping our children recognize how to make their choices and do what is right. Yeah, so I'm just going to go right to there now and talk about these positive values. And we all recognize that people, young people included, they need to really to have strong guiding values or principles in their lives so they can make healthy life choices. Yeah, as you mentioned just now, Shup. And I think for each family, you really have to decide what's important for you. This may include anything from honesty to responsibility to integrity, or even restraint, care for others, the caring for things like equality and social justice. So my husband and I sometimes have long conversations with our youngest. She's already 22 years old, and talk really about social justice, because it's really something that she's really interested in, and it started from young. When in our families, we talk about it as well. So how do we build this in our children? Because it's not like you must be honest, so don't tell lies, yeah. But as we tell it to them, we also need to demonstrate. So role modeling is one way, whether it is about punctuality, care, and so on. So it's like, if you have a rule at home, like, we mustn't shout at each other, because that makes people sad and, really uncomfortable. And then if you got really upset one day and you kind of like shout at the kids, well, that is where your role model collapses, right? Don't worry, because we are all human. So we can tell your kid, when you get over it, mommy is really sorry. We have this rule that we shouldn't shout. And I was so upset and I lost myself. I shouted, please forgive me. And I will try my best not to do it again. Yeah, so we can actually apologize. Yeah, so that's on the role model part. But of course, day to day, we can talk to our children when they're very young. We of course share stories with them. I think most of our parents here, that for the intellectual development, it's good to read to them. Well, it's also very good for the emotional development, because I'm sure the stories that you buy for the kids, or you borrow, or you download from online, they are all about good things. Maybe you've read The Giving Tree to your kid, about really giving of yourself, or maybe you've read other stories of kindness and siblings, how they get out of the sibling rivalry. So really, it is very important to read good stories to them. And of course, as they grow a little bit older, you can connect them to the news that they watch, or even talk about the news with them. Yeah, so I'm sure all of us are glued to the COVID news, and sometimes really surprised by the irresponsibility of some people in other countries, or maybe even in our own country, where people don't want to wear masks and things like that. So we can share the example and talk to our children about why it's important and why it's necessary. Yeah, so right. But we all have room to grow. I'm just seeing a chat comment there. And so this is about the positive value. So we need to build them in our children, and this will balance with them the choices that they make, because they learn what is a good choice, and it's really about making healthy life choices.
Right. So Cheryl, just to interrupt you here, because just now you were mentioning that like we have to try to be their role model, and we have to like demonstrate the positive values and all. But sometimes in today's stressful life, the parents themselves are like so tired, and emotionally, mentally, physically, everything. So they sometimes really can't help to yell at kids, and then they're like feel like pulling their hair. So in that particular case, what is to be done? I mean, when we talk about role models, so in that particular moment is like no one remembers anything. So
Yes, sure. I've been there as well. I'm kind of a type A personality also, Yeah. So, well, actually for me, parenting has been very rewarding, simply because in my early days when I researched and learned more about parenting through workshops and so on, I discovered this phrase that really meant a lot to me. It says, when you become a parent, you also reparent yourself. What does that mean?
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, so it really means that you can make right things that are not right with yourself. So for example, like you say, and I see some of the comments coming in, that sometimes you can't control but yell. So this is a good time to say, how do I learn to get out of that rut where, whenever I'm angry, I'm just yelling at everybody, including my husband or my wife. And we really don't want to do that, because we want to build a great relationship with them as we grow older together. Yeah, so it is a time to say, how do I learn to manage my temper? So this is where you go and find out, and then you have to make a positive, intentional step to say that if I am angry, I'm going to take a deep breath. So we can sing that song as well.
Yes, practice.
That's important. So for me, it has been a rewarding journey personally as well. So when people see me now, they say, wow, you're so sweet and kind. I say, I'm not always sweet and kind. Sometimes I get really, really upset. But I learn to control it through strategies, because I know it's important. So, but sometimes when we talk about these values, it's also important to recognize if they are not so important. You have to think about it. Say, for example, I tell the kids they have to keep their rooms or their desks very, very neat. But if I'm kind of a pig, then I cannot expect of my children, because then they will say, hey, mom, you said to do that, but look at your own bathroom or your own bedroom. Right. So we have to be the realistic as well. So then maybe we need some help from outside. Right. Okay, so having said that, I know time is running on, so I'll get on to my next 2 points. So let's look at boundaries and expectations. And as we look at that, we all know that it's about responsibility and accountability. So we know that our young people, how do they get this? They need clear rules in their lives, but at the same time, hey, don't just do the rules, because rules alone are not enough. You must have consistent consequences. And this is where you teach the children that when they break rules, there are certain consequences they have to face. Now, these consequences don't have to be so severe that you're chopping off their ear or cutting the allowance for 1 whole year. But they just recognize that whenever they break a rule, there is a consequence. And they recognize that this is the way of the world. We're teaching them something very important. If they speed, they'll get a ticket, or maybe lose their lives even, when they are an adult driving. So we need to give them these consequences. But at the same time, we also need to encourage them to do their best. So this could be in the, the learning to be responsible, but also in whatever they do to do their best, so that they're walking in a positive way, and they are not, always saying, oh, I can't help it, I can't do it, and so on. So these clear rules and consequences are important both in the family and also in school, because I'm sure the teachers, so if you take a leaf out of the book of teachers in the preschool, hey, they're very clear about the rules so that the children are really obedient. So don't say, why is my child behaving in school but not at home? It's because we need to implement those rules and consequences. So think about that. They must come together. And of course, on top of that, we also need our own role model as well. So to do the right thing when we set boundaries for them. And so we want to also make sure that people around them, the other adults around them, also display responsible behaviors. And this is important. So actually, from the time of 18 months to 3 years in Erickson's the developmental stages, he talks about autonomy versus shame or doubt. So autonomy is really, this is the stage when we talk about terrible twos. But here clearly, I want to call them the terrific twos. This is my favorite phrase, because our kid is learning to be independent. They're learning to do things themselves. And we really want that, don't we? We don't want our 18-year-old coming to ask me, what should I eat today? What should I wear today, mommy, daddy? So it is really important for this autonomy to come about. So we need to, but we need to balance it with the boundaries, because if they want to stick their fingers in the PowerPoint socket, we need to talk with them. We need to block it up, maybe physical boundaries at first, but later on as they grow, we need to talk a little bit more with them to teach them. So we need to really look at, so how to do the social, the emotional development in a positive way. We need to support and encourage our children. So when they do wrong, we encourage them, and we say the next time you're going to do it right. So that's important, because if you're very negative, then it actually causes a loss of self-esteem, especially if you are very, very punitive. Imagine a young boy who's always beaten because he, spills his food, and then, wow, he will have a real problem with food in future. In fact, some research says that they become psychopathic. So we don't want that to happen to our children. And so sometimes people also ask, boundaries are very difficult. Do people even like boundaries? But I put it to you that boundaries keep us safe. So I'm checking my time, but I want to tell you this story. Before COVID, my husband and I love to travel. So I traveled with my sister to Avatar Land, where they filmed the movie Avatar. Is in China. So you really, see these limestones, that the structures in the middle of the nowhere. And so you stand close to the edge to take photos. But we can stand close to the edge because there are boundaries there. The railings keep us safe. But another time that I was on a cruise with my husband to New Zealand, and we're taken to this site, which is like a hill above the city. And so some of us, about 6 of us, moved a little bit away from the group to climb up this hillock. It was quite steep. I saw people climbing, so I said, should be safe enough. If others can climb, I should be able to do it. But as I was climbing to near the top, the guy right in front of me, this big Angmo guy, he's a Caucasian, he was right at the top already. And I took another 2 steps, I'll be at the top. And he said, whoa, it's a sheer drop from here. Wow. So behind me, my husband, he actually doesn't like these kind of things, but he was just following me to make sure that I'm safe. And he said, I think this is where we should turn back. So, for me, myself too, I was thinking, do I want to step up there 2 more steps to have a look at the beautiful scenery? Or there's no railing. I might just fall off and that's the end of my life. My now currently quite happy life, grown-up children and all. So I actually took a step back. So really, with this example, I want to share what Gross in a 1992 paper, GROSS, he actually said this: we want to help the children develop self-control without loss of self-esteem. So these boundaries and consequences must be clear, but they must be given with the encouragement and positive support. Let me come to my last point on social competencies. Now, this is actually about how they relate to the world. Even for babies and infants, it is important. So it's about their adaptability. So our young people really need the skills to interact effectively with others around them, and also to make difficult decisions. and then to be able to cope with new situations around them. Of course, the points we talked about above will contribute to this as well. But all this ability to make plans, to make decisions, and have interpersonal ability to connect is really important in building their empathy and sensitivity towards the world around them. Because as they go to preschool, it is really a time to develop friendship skills. And also with the friendships come conflict. So we want peaceful conflict resolution. So in this 3 to 5 year age part, Erickson calls it the initiative versus guilt. So again, as our kids, become more vigorous in their activities, they're very action-oriented, they're very, they're full of all kinds of behavior because they're experimenting, initiative, they're trying things out. Yeah, but because they're doing things that we didn't teach them, sometimes parents may interpret these as aggression or even defiance. So again, we should not, talk to them and really having
it's very insightful, but I think what's the time? I think we should move.
Yeah, so my last point. Yeah, I'll just say that
So
we need to really some
for all the insightful discussion.
Okay. So take me to the next slide, please. Yeah, so here I just want to share with you that when we talk about parenting, it's not just mom's job or dad's job, but both moms and dads play irreplaceable and complementary roles in parenting. That's important. And I want to share with you about Moms for Life in the next slide. So Moms for Life is a part of the Center for Fathering, Partnering, Complementing Dads for Life. And at Moms for Life, we celebrate a mom's unique identity as a woman and her multiple roles as daughter, wife, and mother. So with this, I want to share the next slide with you. So if you want to find out more about our programs, we have just started really. We actually have created this Heart of a Mother experience to help moms really to grow their social, emotional, strength as well. And if you'd like to find out more, there's a QR code. This one is not expired. You can scan it, and then you can check out for more information or fill in the form if you like to take part in some of these workshops. Actually, at the moment, there's already a waiting list, but we could notify you for further workshops if you have sort of signed up with us so that we know that you're interested. Yeah, so let's give you just a few seconds to scan the QR code. Yeah. And then actually, I've come to the end of my presentation. And yeah, so.
Okay, all right. So thanks, Cheryl. And yes, I think you and Jennifer, both of you have given so much information. And then our parents are like, look at the question answer session. I think we have a few questions. So let's just straight away go ahead and talk about it. So Cheryl, this question is for you. Can you just tell us some of the examples of consequences or punishment that we can give to young toddlers? I don't know whether the word punishment is a bit harsh at that age, but I mean, anything that we can teach them through, punishment or consequences, whatever you call it as.
Yes, yeah. So consequences, you're actually trying to teach them to do better the next time. Punishment is actually backward looking. You're trying to give them what they deserve for what they did. So we try not to do too much punishment, especially the young ones, because they don't understand. They did something bad, then they got hit or something, yeah? So we really look towards like, say, just I'll give the example of like a young toddler trying to, play with the power sockets. So if they're very young and they cannot understand, you just have to block it up. So even if they cry, you say, well, you're not supposed to touch that. So this is there so to keep you safe. I mean, you just have to keep giving this message. Right. But if it's something else, they are a little bit older and they can understand. For example, they say that they throw a tantrum and they said, I want to eat my ice cream now before dinner. So if you cannot talk them out of it, then you have to actually tell them, well, you know that we are not supposed to throw a tantrum. So when this could be a 3-year-old. So if you cry like that, you have to sit with me at your quiet spot for 5 minutes, and then you can set your alarm so that he can calm down and you can talk to him. So actually children below 3, it is very hard to really reason with them because they're not logical yet. They're not quite there. The maturity, the prefrontal cortex is not developed. So you just need to take them out to calm them down and then be very strict about your the rules you have. So this taking them out, like I know some people actually call it like the punishment corner or whatever. Right. So actually we want to just say it is a quiet corner so that they can sit there and calm down. And if the child doesn't stay there, we can sit there with them. So this is really about loving them. So we sit there with them, say, let's calm down now, stop crying. You may even hold them on your lap if they're very little, and then just guide them towards respecting the rule.
Be a part of everything, whatever you're doing with them. Sure. So Jennifer, the next question is for you. We have question wherein people are asking that, can we give toddler brown rice? Because some of them, they think that the brown rice is a bit difficult to be digested, and they have heard that it's more heaty and can cause constipation. So, this is about brown rice. So brown rice for toddlers, is it suggested?
Yes, so actually parents, you can gradually introduce brown rice to your toddler's diet, but in terms of whether or not it is easily digest, if you're worried about that, you can actually cook it a bit softer for your kids so that it's easier for them to eat and digest. At the same time, bear in mind that because as we compare brown rice to, let's say, a refined grain, the fiber content is definitely very higher. So if your kids are having a lot of fiber, but their fluid intake is still insufficient, that may lead to constipation. So other than fiber, we do need to monitor their fluid intake as well. So their fluid intake can be from water or their milk intake. So add on together, they need to have enough of those to actually help them with their bowels. So it's not just fiber that we're looking at.
Okay, sure. Thank you so much. I think there is one more question for you. And that question is saying that children need vitamin supplements, and is it important, especially for picky eaters? Because they are not like taking enough food intake. So
yeah, so actually you raised up a very good question, because ideally we would want to try to get all the nutrients they need from a healthy, balanced diet. But as this parent mentioned, a picky eater may not be able to meet this balanced diet. This is where supplement would come in to actually help them to top up whatever that they are not eating.
Right. Sure. Thanks, Jennifer. Sharon, we have a question for you. So if suppose, we were talking about anger and all, and name the emotions. So how to encourage preschoolers so that they can express their anger in a better way?
Okay, so so if they hit out or the scold or something, so we really need to actually this is actually the earlier process, right, where we so actually when they are right in the heat of anger, you just need to calm them down. But it is like the process that is before this, that you can talk to them about how do you do it. So just now I shared the example of a song, so and I found this very cute activity in the preschool of my grandson. So one day we went there, and there was this big mahjong paper on the glass that they showed us, and there was a question the teacher put. Teacher Aisha asked, why should we not say unkind words to our friends? And then they have the kids' answers all over. And some people will say it will make them sad, it will break their heart. And so they actually have to think about this. And so after we saw this, so whenever he was like a little bit overwrought, we'll say, hey, remember, if you say something so unkind, because when he gets angry, he says, I want the glass to fall on you. So I said, oops. I said, that's very unkind, the remember what y'all talked about. So it's a good reminder.
Right. Okay. All right. So one more question, Jennifer, for you. So they are saying that one parent is asking, the daughter is a picky eater, and can she drink more milk so that that provides her more nutrient? She doesn't eat other food more, but milk I think she can drink. So can she drink more milk?
Okay, ultimately, when we try to top up their intake, definitely things like formula milk will be more complete as compared to, let's say, if she's not eating a lot from her food. But at the same time, we don't want her to rely on the milk too much. We still want to encourage her to try to get the nutrient they need from the food, because ultimately they are still growing. So we want to try to teach them good eating behavior. So the regular meal time still need to be there. And after that, if let's say she's still not eating, during snack time or let's say sleep time, she can have her milk. So have regular timing for meals, have regular timing for snacks, and also probably timing for her milk as well, to set a good eating habit.
Sure. So Jennifer, you are mentioning about some of the tips and tricks to stay healthy, and so for over there we were mentioning about the reducing the stress and anxiety for kids. So are there any tips that you would like to give? What advice would you like to give to reduce the stress and anxiety as far as kids are concerned?
Yeah, so basically this is just because I'm not really the profession to actually advise on this, but of course talking to your kids, I think Cheryl will also understand as well. Talking to your kids, trying to understand them would actually help them to reduce their stress. If let's say things are different, we try to explain to them as well. If Cheryl, you have any input to this, I think you can answer to this as well.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I think it's a common question that both of you can actually answer. Yeah.
Yeah, so for me, I'm thinking also that sometimes the young kids, they pick up from the parents. So sometimes we also have to watch our own behavior. Maybe we are very angsty, so the kids pick it up from us. But sometimes also in their environment, we have to remove them from certain environments. Could be like their whole day, squabbling with their sibling already. So we just need a change of activity, take them out for a walk or something. So that could help.
So distraction.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So do we have any more questions? Let me check with our team. All right. So yes, I think, the time is almost going to be up. So I guess we're back with our surprises. Take a look at our Pampers once again. Pampers is giving premium care tape diapers, 20 pieces sample for our webinar participants. First 200 webinar participants are going to redeem this. So just go ahead, scan the QR code. Our team members from the Asian Parent, they are adding things in the chat window. Do note that as far as your Pampers redemption is concerned. And of course, yes, the links will be added in the chat window as well. Pampers, and then of course, it's Shopee time once again. So 200 webinar participants are going to get $3 off. No minimum spend needed. Go ahead, buy toys, kids, baby category of items and pamper your kids. Yeah, so terms and conditions apply. Please note the vouchers expire 23rd May. The code is there, and of course, please note the link is there as well. So just feel free to go ahead and scan all those things. Yeah, so we understand that some of you might have some issues, so do not worry. Take a look at the chat box. We have added the promo code, we have added links and messages so that you will be able to redeem your samples. So just go ahead and read the messages in the chat window. And yeah, so correct. We are getting feedback from some of the customers. So notice you have to use the promo code PAMP free one, PAMP free one, right? Take a look at your chat window as well. The code is PAMP free one. So use this code and then you should be able to redeem. All the other information is there in the chat window. Please go ahead and take a look at that. Yes. So note the promo code if you are redeeming Pamper. PAMP FREE 1. All right. And of course, Shopee, I'm sure that you guys are scanning things and so on. That actually brings us to our today's webinar. Okay, so yes, thank you so much once again, Jennifer, Cheryl, and all our wonderful participants. Even if it is Friday evening, so many of them have joined. So thank you so much. Singapore Parenting Festival is proudly presented to you by MediaCorp and the Asian Parent. And it is made possible by our key partners. Our official e-commerce partner is Shopee. Premium platinum partner is Walsh, and let's thank our gold partners also, GSK Scots, Dumex Dugro, Nestle Milo, Nature One Dairy, and our silver partners are about Similac, Pampers, and Nestle Nan. We would like to thank our content partners, Center for Fathering, Moms for Life, and Dads for Life. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we hope that we got so much from Jennifer and Cheryl. And thanks for your time, your participation, and thanks for spending your Friday evening with us. By the way, our next webinar is coming up tomorrow, 11 to 12:10 p.m. There will be surprises, of course, and the topic is Too Good, Education and Enrichment for Your Child. Do visit us at spf2021.theasianparent.com. You will find a recording for today's session there, not immediate, but it will be there. So keep an eye on this website and do register for our tomorrow's webinar as well. See you all. Stay safe and enjoy. Thank you so much for attending. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer. Thanks, Cheryl. Bye-bye. Take care, guys.
Bye.
Stay safe.